Released on September 21st, 2001, Neo Revelation was the third Neo expansion in the Pokémon trading card game. This set introduced Shining Pokémon into the game. They were incredibly rare, and trainers could only have one in their deck, though very few opted to run them due to their attacks requiring 2 or 3 types of energy. While the format would continue to revolve around Feraligatr, there were other strategies developing just underneath the surface. The Pokémon TCG took the world by storm in 1996 when it was first published in Japan. Since then, it has become a worldwide phenomenon. Join us as we explore the forgotten history of the Pokémon TCG. Each episode, we will examine a different historic format and uncover the hidden evolution of the game. This is the history of the Pokémon TCG. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode of the history of the Pokémon trading card game. Thank you guys so much for all the positive support we've been receiving. It makes a huge difference. Please do like and subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of content. Today, we are going to continue on with adding another 2 expansions to the list of available cards that could be played at this time. I say 2 because just a few months earlier than the release of Neo Revelation, the Southern Islands expansion pack was released in July. Really isn't much to be said about it though, because there are maybe like a handful of playable cards in that set, and it was basically just a collection of promotional cards released over time in Japan that never made its way over to the US. However, there are many impactful cards that were released in Neo Revelation, and James will cover 6 of them specifically in just a little bit. As far as decks though, not really much has changed since Neo Discovery. However, even with all these new cards, there aren't any new decks this week. We had a few in mind, but they all required a lot of cards from one of the next 2 sets to even be really semi-functional. So we decided to leave them out, and we'll address them in a later episode. But no worries, this episode is going to be great. This means that there are 2 more sets before this format's complete. It's kind of wild how far we've come into Neos already. These next 2 sets do carry a wide assortment of powerful cards that will complete many decks. We're going to start seeing a lot of different strategies emerging over the next couple episodes, so please do stay tuned. It's going to get interesting. I gotta hold my horses a little bit. We'll talk about those decks when they appear. For right now, let's break down these decks. So first off, we've got Fortress. It's, again, many of these are going to be a little bit incomplete from their kind of idealized version. But for right now, this really focuses on kind of a setup stall strategy. And I bet James is going to be gunning for this one. Fortress's Pokemon Power of Spikes does stack. So if you have multiple, if you get like 3 on the field, any baby Pokemon that become active Pokemon are just completely knocked out. It's phenomenal for cycling through. It combos extremely well with Double Gust, which allows you to just basically cycle through their baby Pokemon to KO them. And you can sit behind Chaos Gym so your own Pokemon cannot be cycled in by Double Gust, if you so choose. Elekid can also just sit on your bench and constantly deal 20 damage with a coin flip, so you just are doing damage through various different means that don't really involve attacking. Again, not fully realized, it's really missing Pokemon Trader, but I think it's actually a semi-decent deck. The other Steel-centric deck is Steel Kabutops. Kabutops is brought into this deck as a clever counter to any fire strategy that an opponent might not want to run. The Rainbow Energy ensures that you always have whatever type of energy you may need, while Elekid is added to assist with dealing damage if you're struggling to build up your board. Again, this one kind of is missing a Mysterious Fossil and Pokemon Trader. Once we get those from Legendary Collection, this becomes a lot more realized, but it's going to be pretty good. The most put together deck, and the deck I'm going to be personally gunning for, is Dark Weezing. It's a great example of a strong gym format holdover deck. It uses Brock's Ninetales to shapeshift into Dark Weezing, meaning you can have up to 6 Dark Weezing or Coughing in play at a time, which means you can dish out 120 damage for only 2 energy. The self-inflicted damage can be mitigated with berries and metal energies, allows you to stay healthy relative to your opponent. And then finally, the last deck on this wheel that we have here today is going to be Dark Ground. This deck uses Domfan's Rapid Spin to switch in hard-to-hit Pokemon, like Focus Band Cleffa. The force switch on the opponent then triggers Dark Trio's Sinkhole ability to deal damage. All the while, Dark Vileplume's Hay Fever shuts down potential Double Gust and makes this control deck quite formidable. You will notice that we don't have Steelix, Volcano, or Feraligatr since you've already seen those decks, and you'll probably be seeing quite a bit more of them as we continue on in a kind of more of our competitive circuit. We wanted to focus on these kind of little bit weaker decks that you haven't yet seen, just to give it a little bit of a different flavor in this episode. And without any further ado, let's spin. I'm really kind of gunning for that Dark Weezing deck. I think Brock's Ninetales super interesting card. I really want to be able to play it. Looks like we might get it.
Let's go! I got my first choice 2 weeks in a row. I'm really hoping we'll be able to win again like this week, as we did last week, and get a repeat win. We got to start racking up wins against James here. I did so poorly before. I'm really coming back with a vengeance on this one. I'll see you guys in the deck breakdown.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Last week, we got to witness the firepower of a fully armed and operational Feraligatr deck. This week, we return back to the original timeline and cover Neo Genesis, generally regarded as the second weakest of the 4 Neo sets. Patrick already covered how this set doesn't add any playable decks to our pool at the moment, as many combo pieces are still required from future sets. However, that doesn't mean that there weren't any strong cards in this set. So let's take a moment to discuss what some of those strong cards were, as all of them will come up in future episodes. First, with his crossed attack, we have Crobat. Crobat was an incredibly powerful disruption tool and provided a check against the almighty Feraligatr. In addition, its free retreat cost allowed it to be incredibly maneuverable, switching in and out of combat. Second, first of the 3 beasts, we have Entei with its Howl power. Entei was an incredibly powerful setup tool for cards like Blaine's Arcanine that required a lot of energy in order to deal serious damage. By filling up your deck with fire energy, you could almost guarantee that Entei would turn on the more expensive Pokemon. Third, we have Suicune. With its Pokemon Power Crystal Body and its attack Aurora Wave, Suicune was a very strong control card. Not that strong as we saw last week, but strong compared to Feraligatr. But by preventing itself from being inflicted with status ailments while inflicting a status ailment to your opponent 75% of the time, it did have its place in many control decks. Fourth, and unfortunately the weakest of the 3 legendary beasts, we have Raikou. With its Lightning Burst power, Raikou is essentially just Gust on legs, which can assist some strategies in swapping out threats for more manageable targets. Fifth, with its Pokemon Power Energy Converter, Porygon 2 was able to help any deck facilitate multiple different types of Pokemon. This effect was mostly used in evolution decks that we'll be seeing later on in the series. And then last, Balloon Berry was basically an auto-include in every deck outside of Crobat-based strategies, because it allowed any Pokemon to be as flexible as a baby Pokemon in that it removed the retreat cost and functioned essentially like Switch did in base set. So with that, let's get into the wheel. I have to be honest, I'm hoping for Dark Ground because, you know me, I like to play control type strategies that essentially just frustrate your opponent while dealing damage, and there's not a whole lot of counterplay. That being said, if I don't get Dark Ground, I'll settle for Fortress. So let's see what we get here. Come on, come on. All right, Steel Kabutops. That is, I'm okay with that. The only one I really didn't want was Dark Weezing. Didn't play it in Pokemon Progression for a reason. Steel Kabutops is still pretty strong, especially because it has Steelix. So I will build that, and I will see you in the deck breakdown.
Alright, so here we are with the deck. Again, this is the most well put together deck that we have on the wheel. There are no cards that are really missing from the strategy, which makes it extremely formidable. One of the best parts about this deck is Brock's Ninetales. So just to quickly highlight what this card does, it has a Pokemon Power Shapeshift, which means that during our turn, before we attack, we can attach an evolution card from our hand to Brock's Ninetales. Treat Brock's Ninetales as if it were that Pokemon instead. It can't evolve or do anything else, but it basically will fundamentally count as that Pokemon. And that's what the most important part is. So what we would ideally like to do is to put Dark Weezing, 2 Dark Weezings on top of our Brock's Ninetales. And you might say, Patrick, why are you doing that? The reason we want to do that is because of this ability Mass Explosion. So Mass Explosion does 20 damage times total number of Coughings, Weezings, and Dark Weezings in play. And then this attack does 20 damage to each Coughing, Weezing, and Dark Weezing, even our own. Right. This is insane in the mirror match, by the way, because it can just attack his bench if he has it set up, which is wild. And this has a lot of really interesting synergies specifically attached to it. So if I am to evolve Dark Weezing onto Brock's Ninetales, then I have effectively 6 Dark Weezings and Coughings in play potentially, because I put 2 Dark Weezings on my 2 Brock's Ninetales. We have the 4 Coughings, which we evolve 2 more Dark Weezings on top of. So we have 2 Coughings, 4 Dark Weezings basically on the field. That is 6 Pokemon. This does then 120 damage to whatever James's active Pokemon is. It's insane. And then it does 20 damage to my bench. Now, they don't have a whole lot of HP. I do that 3 times, I'm done for. However, if you attach a Metal Energy, and this is really where the interesting synergy comes into play, damage done to the Pokemon Metal Energies attached to is reduced by 10. That applies to all of them. So that's an extremely interesting synergy with this card. It can actually reduce it down to just 10 damage, which means that these guys can take a lot of hits. And especially if I'm working with like Goldberry, then that can heal my main guy from any attacks that are done to it. So it's extremely, extremely strong. Furthermore, if I'm to play Rocket's Hideout, then they get an additional 20 HP, which gives me basically 2 more uses of that ability, which is exactly what I need. I need to hit it 6 times, assuming James has 6 Pokemon out there. In addition, I also have Erica's Kindness here. This removes 2 damage counters from each Pokemon with any damage counters on it, which means I do it, I deal 20 damage to my own guys, I immediately Erica's Kindness on the following turn, heal everyone else back up to full at no cost, unless of course he's taking damage. But really, like, I'm doing 120 damage. I should be knocking out whatever it is he's attacking me with. One of the other interesting tech parts about this comes again from some of these special energies. Darkness energy means that if the Pokemon with Darkness energy is attached to attacks the defending Pokemon, the attack does 10 more damage to the defending Pokemon. However, you put 1 damage counter on the Pokemon that Darkness energy is attached to at the end of every turn, unless it's dark or has dark in its name, which Dark Weezing does. So now I can go, that damage threshold just goes right up to 130. And there's no drawback for me. It's wild how strong that is. The other cards in here are basically just consistency pieces to kind of help me get these 6 Dark Weezing and Coughings out in the field. Cleffa's an Eek, we've seen that, we know exactly what it does. Professor Elm, same difference, it's just Cleffa but as a trainer card. EXP-All is a little bit of an interesting one because I'm so limited in my energies. I mean, I've got the 4 metals and the 2 darks, and I really want to maintain them. Basically what this does is during my opponent's turn, if my active Pokemon will be knocked out by the opponent's attack, I can take one of the energy cards and attach it to the active Pokemon. EXP-All is really nice because it allows me to continuously cycle energies in case I lose one of my Pokemon, which may happen because Dark Weezing, again, really only has 60 HP, buffed to 80 with Rocket's Hideout, so not exactly the bulkiest Pokemon. Good Manners is another kind of interesting card for this deck. I can't have any basic Pokemon in my hand to play this. I show my hand to the opponent, ideally an empty hand or like this in an Elm. Then I can search for a basic Pokemon, in this case, usually a Coughing or a Brock's Vulpix, show it to him, add it to my hand, shuffle deck afterwards, and then I usually would just play that. There's a reason I'm going to use this. Boss's Way does functionally the same thing, except for the kind of showing my hand. I just look for an evolution card with Dark in its name, so Dark Weezing, search it, add it to my hand. So these 2 will get me both those consistency pieces. Nightly Garbage Run allows me to recycle basic energy cards, basic Pokemon, evolutions, whatnot, from my discard pile into my deck. Pretty nice to regain those. Transparent Walls is actually really interesting because until the end of my opponent's next turn, I play this first. Then I Mass Explosion or whatever this is. What does it say? Yeah, Mass Explosion. It protects my own bench from that damage. So this is integral to this deck. And honestly, I think when they made this card, they knew what they were doing. It's got a Weezing on it, okay? That's pretty clear. Here Comes Team Rocket. It's really fun because I'm assumedly going to be fairly aggressive here. I want to be able to see which Pride cards I'm going to be receiving, and I want to pick the one that's going to be best for my situation. Double Gust, we all know and love, allows me to switch around Pokemon as I see fit. And then Brock's Training Method is basically the Boss's Way, but for Ninetales and Vulpix, so it allows me to search those cards. So, overall, I think this is a pretty solid deck. I think this is going to be phenomenal. And the best part about this is, if James also spun Dark Weezing, this is going to be the wildest game I've ever seen. I really hope he does. Little disappointed if he doesn't, but if he does, oh, this is going to be insane. This is going to be so funny. Because it counts every Dark Weezing and Coughing in play. You could do 240 damage, and then also snipe their bench. It's wild. The mirror matches are super fun with this deck. So I'm really hoping he does. I think he might, but we'll have to see. And we're going to check that out in the battle. Let's go.
Alright, so in front of you, you have the Steel Kabutops deck. Quick rundown. You already know what Cleffa does. Allows you to reset your hand at the end of your turn, dump everything onto the field that you could possibly want. Eek, boom, free Professor Oak. Next, we've got Elekid. Again, we've seen him before. Allows you, his Playful Punch allows you to attack from the bench. Does end your turn, but it's a potential 20 damage if your active Pokemon is not currently set up and ready to fight. Then we get into the actual meat of this deck in particular, as far as Pokemon go. We have Onix and Steelix. Onix is there to evolve into Steelix, and Steelix being a big beefy steel Pokemon with metal energy attached, he's going to absorb a ton of damage while dealing a decent amount. Now, here's the interesting thing that this deck does. So, Steelix, Tail Crush, it can do up to 50 damage for 3 energy. Not great, but realistically, Steelix is going to be out there for a while, especially once you consider things like Goldberry, healing you for the 40 at the end of your turn, and Focus Band once you get through all of that health, potentially having a 50-50 chance of keeping Steelix alive. But, let's say Steelix, you don't have any Goldberries on him, he's taking a lot of damage, that's where Aerodactyl comes in. Aerodactyl's Pokemon power allows your evolved Pokemon to utilize the attacks of its pre-evolved forms, provided it has the energy cost. Onix's attack, Rage, does 10 damage plus 10 more damage for each damage counter on the Pokemon. So, let's say you, for example, just survived getting knocked out, Focus Band saved you, you've got no Balloon Berries, or even if you do, you put it on because you heal at the end of your turn anyway. Steelix has 100 damage on it. You use Onix's attack Rage as a result of Aerodactyl's Pokemon power. That is 110 damage versus the potential 50 guaranteed 30 that Tail Crush normally does. Could be a one-hit KO, very important, especially against some of the decks that we're going up against tonight. Then we have the Kabutops portion of this deck. Now, for all of our fossil Pokemon, because Mysterious Fossil isn't in this format, we need to rely on Fossil Egg. Good news, you can potentially just get Kabutops out, or even Aerodactyl, out from your deck and play it on your bench. Easy peasy. You don't need to put Mysterious Fossil on your bench, wait until you draw the basic fossil Pokemon. Unfortunately, it's a coin flip, and everyone who's seen this series before knows that I suck at flipping coins. So I've got 3 chances with 3 fossil eggs. I'm 100% going to prioritize Aerodactyl because, as was discussed in the deck breakdown, Kabuto and Kabutops are in here as a way to counter fire strategies, as Steelix is weak to fire. Let's look at the decks that we are potentially going to go up against. We have Fortress, a mirror match in Steel Kabutops, Dark Weezing, or Dark Ground. None of those rely on fire Pokemon. There's no Blaine's Arcanine, there's no Typhlosion, Volcano deck. I mean, actually, if we go up against Dark Weezing, we're at a type disadvantage by using Kabutops because those are grass Pokemon. So, realistically, I'm just going to be playing Steelix with Aerodactyl, and Kabutops is just gonna kind of be there. I'm gonna ignore it as much as possible. That being said, it's a good idea, it's a good strategy, but given what we know we're potentially going up against, and that fire isn't in the equation, I kind of drew the short straw on that one, but it is what it is. Moving on to trainer cards, we've already touched on a few of them. Double Gust, making a return so that we can swap out our opponent's troubling Pokemon. Eco Gym, running 1 because it's not essential to our strategy, but it is rather important because in the event that your opponent manages to remove energy from your Pokemon, this deck isn't running that many energy. You'll see down here at the bottom, we have 5 fighting energy. That's it. We need them for Onix. If we were gonna run Kabutops, we need them for Kabutops. We do have Rainbow energy to make up for it, but all told, we have 19 energy cards. There's actually quite a few energy cards, but the original version was running fewer, hence the Eco Gym. Tweaked it a bit given the set that we're on. Same reason, energy charges in there so we can recover our energy if we end up, our Steelix gets knocked out, we lose 3 energy. Kind of important that we get those back. Imposter Oak's Revenge and Rocket Sneak Attack are both control elements. Removing Rocket Sneak Attack allows me to remove a trainer card in my opponent's hand, and Imposter Oak's Revenge. Ideally, you play this on turn 1, that's why it's run at 1. Anytime after that is not that important, but play at turn 1, now they're playing with 3 fewer cards in their hand, could lead to some big advantages. Finally, we have Professor Elm, which is just a draw, shuffle your hand, draw 7, same as Eek, but ideally we'd use that when we don't have Cleffa out there. And then Warp Point functions very similarly to Double Gust, except you get to choose. Lastly, we've got our energy, touch on the fighting energy, the rainbow energy, and the middle energy, of course, reduces the damage that your steel Pokemon takes by 10, which makes Steelix even tankier. Then we've got full heal and recycle energy. Recycle energy is in there, again, because this deck typically runs fewer energy cards than this, and it allows you to recover your energy if Pokemon are knocked out. And then finally, we have full heal energy, which is to deal with any sort of status ailments. So there you have it. I think this is a great deck, honestly. It's unfortunate that we're not going up against any fire decks to be able to utilize the Kabutops, but I think that the Steelix, in and of itself, is extremely strong, and going up against, if we go up against Fortress, there's not going to be a whole lot of retreating, obviously, for retreat costs, so not too concerned about that. And even if I do have to swap Steelix back in, he's got a large health pool. Dark Ground, again, that's probably going to be our toughest one, honestly, because of the damage that Dark Dugtrio can do. And then the Dark Weezing, not super concerned about it because I'm going to be ignoring the Kabutops, but that does have the type advantage against the Kabutops itself. So I think all of these decks are, in my opinion, I'm not the expert, Patrick is, pretty evenly powered, and I think we're going to do okay. We'll see you in the battle.
All right, James, we're back. Welcome back. I see you have returned to lose again. Hopefully,
Thanks. Like I need a reminder of how often I lose at these games.
You usually beat me at this, at least. But
That's okay. I grew up playing Yu-Gi-Oh, not Pokemon, and I lose to you at Yu-Gi-Oh all the time. But Pokemon seems to be different.
fair enough. So I have no idea what you're playing. I think immediately you can tell what I'm playing.
Bro,
but
this is the one thing I didn't want to face.
This would be great.
Okay. Actually, no. This is a lot better than I thought it was. I am not super upset about this.
Fair enough. Fair enough. This should be interesting. You do go first, by the way.
Yeah, so I'll open up with Rocket Sneak Attack. Oh,
What?
you've got 2 Elms, so I guess no matter what I do,
Yeah, I'm gonna be cycling these.
yeah, so I guess I'll just shove the Rocket's hideout back.
No, I wanted. That's the one. I was hoping you would just take an elm.
Well, I'm not-
It doesn't matter.
1 Elm is the exact same as 2 Elms.
Right. I mean, true.
Alright, let's... Do I risk it for the biscuit? Nah. Let's Rainbow Energy on here, and then we'll Elm.
Wow, already applying 10 damage to your guy. That's kind of crazy.
Rainbow Energy?
Yeah, you put 10 damage on it. That's what Rainbow Energy does.
Oh, well, yeah. I thought you meant the every turn. That's Darkness.
No.
Didn't get anything that I wanted, so we'll just eat
I don't
here.
remember which list has.
Okay.
This is too funny. I'm gonna Rocket's hideout.
Naturally.
I'll put a Metal Energy on my coughing here, and we'll just go for tackle.
Okay,
I
0
did get
damage.
through. It doesn't matter because it does 0 damage.
I was like,
That's
okay,
right.
yeah, go ahead and tackle me.
I forgot about that. Whatever. We got
Good
to flip
job.
a coin. We got to have some fun.
Yeah, I never get those coin flips, that's for sure.
Okay,
we'll
last episode, you failed on every coin flip for Focus Band, and I failed on every coin flip for Baby Rules, so it's pretty even. Oh, Playful Punch. Oof. Okay. So
Let's,
this is not a mirror match, which I was really hoping it was going to be a mirror match, because that'd be really funny.
Why?
This is fine. Just because you could do a 240 damage. Because it
Wow.
counts every single wheezing and coughing in play.
Just completely wipes out everyone's bench at the same time. We'll
Yeah.
Rocket Sneak Attack again. Okay, you have 2 Elms again. Oh, you
Yep.
didn't use an Elm last turn, did you?
No, I didn't. Because I want to evolve with my Dark Wheezing that you know that I have in my hand, so...
No, that's fair. We Elmed, by the way. We'll get an Onyx out there.
Is this the Fortress deck? What is this? No, this is Dark Ground, isn't it?
You've guessed every deck but what it is.
What's the last deck?
That's hilarious.
I just looked at them at the wheel. Here, hold on. Pause real quick. Oh, it's still Kabutops.
Yep.
This is an interesting one. This is a really interesting one, I think, actually.
Okay, do I Playful Punch here or do I Eek?
You do you.
I'm gonna
Okay, one of the really cool things about Onyx is that if you do memory, I think it's like Memory Machine or something like that with Steelix, then you can actually use Rage, and that does a lot of damage.
Funny
Okay,
you
we're gonna go
mentioned
ahead and
that.
Evolve. I really hope you talked about it, because it's really cool. I'm gonna
I
go ahead and
did.
press for Elm. Nice. I'm gonna Elm. We'll put down another Brock's Vulpix here. We will go ahead and just go for that Mass Explosion. We'll try to flip for Baby Rule.
You got through.
We will get 10 damage off.
Let's
But
go 10
Weezing
damage.
Weezing does a big old 0 to itself, which is really fun. So because of the interaction with Metal Energy is actually pretty kind of goated.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
So
yeah.
it insulates me against being hurt too badly.
Wow, I see you have 5 cards in your hand.
I do have 5 cards in my hand. Are you gonna do what's the other hand rep card?
We're going to
Imposter Oak's
Revenge
That's
here.
right. Okay.
Make that 4.
I'm actually kind of okay with that.
That's unfortunate for me. Complete eco gym out here.
Hey!
Let's Fossil Egg, and I'm gonna fail. Oh no, I succeeded in my coin.
Oh, you succeeded.
That's super surprising. We'll get Aerodactyl out here.
Yo! Prehistoric Memory. Whenever evolved Pokemon attacks, use any attack from its basic Pokemon or any of them. That's how you're gonna use Steelix. Okay.
Yep.
Wow, that's really cool. This this is something I talked about kind of in the intro kind of overview portion. Is when you take away like Feraligatr and like the big Steelix deck and like the mate, not this one, but the Volcano decks, like the stuff that was really at the top of the meta, and you start going like a little bit like one step below, you run into stuff that uses Brock's Ninetales to deal 120, 130 damage a turn. You run into this kind of stuff. It's really cool. Like you start to see what they were cooking up at this time. There's a lot of stuff that they were doing.
I'll eat here. That's what we call rogue decks, and I love rogue decks.
We're gonna good manners here.
What does that do?
So basically, I have to show you my hand, show that there is no basic Pokemon in here. Go and search for a basic Pokemon from my deck.
Okay. Wow, you have 5 trainer cards. I wish I was playing Dark Vileplume right now.
Yeah, that would really hose me. I'll play down a Coughing. I'm gonna go ahead and do that again.
Okay, go right ahead.
Saw that coming. Yeah.
Yep.
We will go ahead and grab another Coughing.
Naturally.
We'll play that down. I'm gonna go ahead and Transparent Walls here. So James, do you know what this card does?
Not a clue.
So until the end of your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage from attacks done to my bench Pokemon. So again, it insulates me from being hit. I'm gonna go ahead and Professor Elm just to kind of cycle.
I'm missing my Dark Arbok right about now.
So we're gonna go ahead and Pokemon Power Shapeshift into Dark Weezing.
Yep.
Oh, this is pretty cool.
You do realize that you don't need this much damage to kill Cleffa, right?
No, I understand that. I'll put an energy on him there. We will go ahead and just go for another Mass Explosion, try to flip that.
Fail.
Darn it. I hate these baby rolls sometimes.
Oh man, you've got a lot of cards in your hand. It'd be a real shame if I just Rocket Sneak Attack and we got rid of...
That's okay. It was kind of a brick.
Erica's Kindness.
Yeah, that's fine. You see what's in my hand. It's like, okay, you know, did what I could last turn.
We're just going to put more Steel Energy on Onyx.
That sounds about right, yeah.
There.
Why not?
Let's Elm here. Finally.
If that, I was going to say, if that Onyx falls, that is a lot of metal energy that you lose.
I know. Fortunately, we're not there. So, well, I can't use... My understanding is I can't use his Onyx's Rage attack because I don't have any fighting energy on Steelix.
That is my understanding as well. So normally what you want to do with Steelix here is you want to put 2 fighting energies on it and 1 steel energy.
Yeah,
then you can do Tail Crush and the other thing.
Have you seen the energy ratios in this deck? 5 fighting energy in the entire deck?
Yeah. But you could also put a rainbow energy on it, you know.
Well, I certainly will eventually.
You should put that Aerodactyl out there. I swear nothing will happen to it.
Oh yeah, I believe you on that one. I'm actually kind of at a loss here for what I do because I like my hand, but I don't want to get Steelix out there yet. Let's just eat. We'll go for it.
Okay.
That's certainly still a hand.
Hey, James.
What?
I'm gonna double gust.
Go right ahead. Select your new active Pokemon.
Are you selecting or am I selecting it?
I have to select your active Pokemon.
Okay, go ahead and select my active Pokemon then. Okay.
Vulpix.
Pick Aerodactyl. We're gonna retreat.
Yep, I figured.
We'll go ahead and evolve another Dark Weezing. We'll play down our Transparent Walls just to insulate the board, and we'll go for that Mass Explosion for that quick knockout.
You did it.
I did in fact do it.
So how come, okay, question. How come your Pokemon, how come your active Dark Weezing didn't take damage?
Because of the steel energy. It reduces it by
reduces by 10, and then I see.
Yeah. And then it does, so it reduces it by 10, and then it does 10 less damage on that attack effect. So it does 0. Which is wild.
Nope, I follow.
It's such a cool tech.
I'm missing my Aerodactyl now, I guess.
That was kind of the point, yes.
Put a Rainbow Energy on him. And then, yeah, we'll put a Berry on Steelix.
Makes
and
sense.
then we'll just Tail Crush. Hey, bonus damage.
You got the whammy.
I got the whammy.
You did, in fact, get the whammy. We'll put a Pokemon Tool EXP all on that Dark Weezing. I'll put a Grass Energy on the other one.
Wait, what does EXE all do?
So basically, if you knock out this Dark Weezing that's in the lead, I can attach that Grass Energy to that other Dark Weezing that I just put that on.
Oh, that's nice.
It's pretty cool. We'll go ahead and just Mass Explosion here, which will go through, deal the damage, and then, do all that other jazz.
I'm just gonna make this dude tanky as humanly.
Fair enough, I guess. I mean, 4 metal energies, that works. We're gonna go ahead and Professor Elm here. We'll place down this. I'll put this other Dark Weezing. I can't play any of those cards, so we're just go ahead and Mass Explosion. It does 0 damage to Steel. Oh, because I don't have enough guys out there, so I just hurt myself.
Yo, you just hurt yourself. Meanwhile,
Right.
0 damage. Even if you did get through, I've got Goldberry.
Yeah, this is, I'm in a little bit of a predicament here, James.
I'll just Tail Crush. Minimum damage kills you, but
Yeah.
let's get a little bit more than minimum damage here.
Yeah, I'll enjoy this thing.
We go to Baby Rule. Got it.
Yeah, this is basically my strategy here. Okay.
Hey, good news. I found my fighting energy. It was in my bonus cards.
Nice. Okay. I'll
Surprise
shuffle that.
cards.
We'll play Here Comes Team Rocket so you can all see what we're working with here. Okay.
Oh, you've got a lot of stuff that
Yeah.
would be very useful to you in your prize cards.
I get the boss's way. I'm going to grab my Dark Weezing.
Naturally.
We'll go ahead and evolve Dark Weezing. We will Good Manners.
Yep. You have no basic Pokemon in your hand.
Yep. We'll grab one of those.
Are we just gonna
Well,
baby
good.
stall?
Yep. We'll Good Manners. And we'll grab one of those.
Okay.
And we'll play that down. And we'll Eek. Get a new hand.
Very nice. Did you get what you wanted?
No.
No.
Unfortunately, 4 metal energy attached to Steelix, and the fact that it already resists it by 30 makes this very difficult.
I'm actually not sure where to go from here, because like my Aerodactyl not being available is a little annoying.
Yeah.
You know the phrase "don't put all your eggs in one basket"?
Yeah, I think you're just doing that. Yeah.
I don't believe in that. We're just gonna all the eggs right here.
I mean, fair enough.
We'll Elm. There's another fighting energy. Okay, if I ever find a way to get my Aerodactyl back. I don't think I have a way to get my Aerodactyl back, actually.
So, fun fact. That range was going to do 0 damage. Okay.
Because you'll never get damage.
Well, Brock's training method, we'll grab a Ninetales.
Alright, everybody,
We'll, go ahead
prepare
and
to
evolve
watch
it.
me fail to hit baby Pokemon for the next 45
Alright.
minutes.
Well, Erica's kindness, and we'll just heal everything. I'll put an EXP all on this Dark Weezing here. We will shapeshift into another Dark Weezing. We'll put a Metal Energy on that Dark Weezing.
Alright, so you do damage again.
Yeah,
Potentially.
Definitely
do-
not enough to actually matter.
You could do up to 20 damage if you flip all ahead.
Boss's way, I don't have anything. We'll just Eek and try to see. Okay, yeah, this gets me at least something.
You know, you do realize if I don't successfully knock you out, it's just going to be a win by deck out, right?
I'm aware of this, yes.
And I fail again. That's exactly how I expect it to go.
We'll put a Grass Energy on this guy. We'll Nightly Garbage Run. We'll cycle these back into my deck.
Alright.
Take a look. We'll Brock's Training Method into this Ninetales.
Yep.
Evolve.
That's 4.
Nightly Garbage Run. We'll grab only things I can get.
Yep.
We'll Boss's Way, Dark Weezing.
Okay.
We will Shapeshift into Dark Weezing. Wait, did I just Shapeshift over the same Dark Weezing?
Yeah.
Okay, it really should give you an indicator for that.
It should. It should.
We'll just Erica's Kindness here. We'll retreat into Dark Weezing, and we'll go for that Mass Explosion here, doing 0 damage again. Wow.
Oh,
Wild,
man.
dude.
This is hilarious. Tail Crush. I can actually do damage to this Pokemon. I only flip heads when it comes to doing the extra damage. I've done the extra damage every single attack.
We'll just we'll retreat into Cleffa. We'll put a Grass Energy on him, and we'll just Eek. There we go. There's a card that will help.
We'll put an energy on this Steelix. Tail Crush. Hey, I got
you hit through.
I don't need the bonus damage here.
Yes, we're gonna use the EXP all on Dark Weasing.
Select a prize card. I love how I can actually see all of them.
I know, it's actually like, Here Comes Team Rock is actually like a really good little card. Well, Erica's Kindness. The crappy thing is that,
You're gonna stun gas me?
I was thinking about doing that, actually.
Well, it's the only reason you have 3 on there.
We'll put a Dark
And a
Energy
Dark
on Dark
Energy.
Weasing. Yeah, that's actually pretty dope. Because it's Dark Wheezing, it actually doesn't take any damage from the Dark Energy.
Oh,
but it
you're
gets the
right. I
benefit.
forgot about that.
It's pretty nice. It's actually really, really nice. We'll go for a Mass Explosion here. Alright.
Hey, I took 10 damage, okay?
That Dark Energy is putting in work, James. That's all I can say.
Oh, man.
I think I lost. I think I lost when you selected your deck.
I didn't even want this deck.
We'll draw everything else and throw another one on him. We're going out with a bang. Mass Explosion. And it did 20 damage.
I think it'd be really funny.
What would be really funny?
Put a Rainbow Energy onto my Steelix.
Dude, how many energies are you going to put on this guy?
As many as I can. Tail Crush. Hey, I did the extra damage that time.
That's unfortunate.
Let's grab this energy. And I believe I win when you start your turn.
Yep, yes you do. But I don't lose until I select my active Pokemon. Okay.
Oh, and I win!
So, we did not get to see Kabutops from this deck, unfortunately.
Well, I intentionally didn't focus on Kabutops because Kabutops has type disadvantage against Weezing. Kabutops is weak to grass, and I said this when I was going over the deck in the deck builder. This is a really smart strategy to shore up the weaknesses of Steelix. However, given the 3 possible decks we'd be going up against, or 4 if it was a mirror match,
yeah,
Kabutops does nothing whatsoever, so it's kind of dead.
Yeah, this is kind of an instance in which that by making the deck, because what you're doing is you're making the Steelix deck less consistent by adding in Kabutops. However, in a format with a little bit lower power, it still has a huge impact just having Steelix in there. I mean, at this point in time, the really big cards that are going on right now are like Feraligatr and Steelix are like the top 2, and then I think like, if I remember correctly, it's like Entei or Typhlosion, basically, at this point in time.
Well, and those are where it'd be really nice to have Kabutops.
Exactly, yeah. So it's like, what you usually see is kind of this semi-rock, paper, scissors format where you have Steelix actually can and does wall Feraligatr. It's just not that good at it, to be fair. And that's why Feraligatr is just the best. Because Feraligatr then beats the Typhlosion deck, which then beats the Steelix deck. I can't remember if at this point in time it's Typhlosion or Entei. I'm getting my my history here a little crossed. But either way, there's some kind of fire brew out there. And you kind of have this kind of circle. But once you get like a little bit removed from that and you start playing like these kind of grass decks, Steelix matches up really freaking well into a grass deck because I couldn't do any damage to you. Like I had probably one of the best arts you could get. I had 4 guys out. That's 80 damage a turn. You start maximizing Steel Energy on this guy, and he already resists by 30. That's a 70 damage reduction.
Uh-huh.
And then also when I put a Steel Energy on my guy, that's an 80 damage reduction. And I have to do that to prevent my own guys from getting killed.
This is probably the worst matchup out of all of these for the Dark Weezing deck.
I think so. Looking at it, like seeing it kind of play out, I think this would be the worst matchup. And I was really excited to play Dark Weezing because it is the most complete deck. There's no substitutions that we would have to make based on the timeline here for like from the actual complete deck lists that are played at the end of the format to represent kind of what cards are available. So Dark Weezing right now is basically at its peak. The problem is there's no way that Dark Weezing would really see the light of day in like an actual format where all the cards are legal, because it loses to Feraligatr, it loses to Steelix. I don't really know the matchup spread against the fire type decks because it's actually not weak to fire. It's weak to psychic, where there's like no psychic decks really that are really running around at this time. So it could be good because it does do 120, 130 damage. So that's not a problem. It's just that like it's extremely frail. If you have any revenge killers, and I don't have Rocket Stadium out there, or even if I do in some instances, you can just take me out. I mean, 60 HP base, buff to 80 at best, and then I'm donking myself for 20, 10, 0 damage, depending on what I have attached to him. It gets pretty rough, but I do really like the tech cards that are in here. I think that there's a lot of really interesting stuff because you are anticipating your guys getting knocked out. EXP All keeps you kind of in tempo. Brock's training method, good manners, the boss's way, all of that stuff are searchers, so you make it extremely consistent, tons of draw power, and then you actually get to see transparent walls do something. You know, like the fact that you know that it is going to damage your own team. So you set ups in such a way that it doesn't. To me, that's just extremely interesting. And then the 3 nightly garbage runs to cycle that stuff back into your deck. And then the Here Comes Team Rocket as a recognition of this as an actual aggro strategy. Which, using Weezing as an aggro Pokemon is kind of wild to me thematically. Mm-hmm. But I just think that there's a lot of really interesting tech cards in here that we really usually don't see in other decks. It just happens to be that they work here.
I know, I honestly, it's a wonderfully constructed deck. And I like it because it's not just the typical spam a bunch of cards, beat someone over the head, or like in Steelix's case, just hide behind a baby Pokemon until you build up Steelix and then never take any damage ever.
Right.
Unless someone's playing fire.
Pretty much, yeah, because your Steelix gets hosed by fire right away.
Yeah. But, it's sad that it really can't hold a candle to the top decks of the format.
I mean...
Because it really is, it's an impressively built deck.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a really fun deck to play. With that, though, I think this is a really good showcase of kind of what's brewing a little bit below the meta, even though, you know, I got hosed really badly by James just in the wheel selection. I think that this was actually pretty fun to get to see how consistent Dark Weezing deck is. Next week, we'll be going over the 2001 West Coast STS. As you can kind of see, we're flipping back and forth from kind of like set releases to what the actual historic competitive format was doing at the same time, because we're starting to get more and more information as to exactly what was going on, and we can play out those matches. So we're going to be heading back into the competitive scene. We'll be seeing some more high-powered decks, maybe for Alligator, I don't know, and maybe that gives me a chance to win. But I think it'll be a lot of fun. Please stay tuned for that. Like and subscribe down below if you want to see more content like this. And if there's anything that we're missing in these episodes, please let us know. Until then, we'll see you guys next time.
Have a great week, guys.